Hello everyone, I'm Dionysios and we're here today with Orlando Wilson. And today we want to discuss the threat and the issues going on in Red Sea at the moment. Orlando?
It's a big problem, right?
Well, yeah.
The Houthis have shut down the shipping lanes. They've shut down the Red Sea for everything but Russian vessels.
Good for them.
Well, you can see it's funny that such a small group have really shut down world trade in a matter of weeks.
And everything will be more expensive because all the ships they're going to, bypass and go all around.
I think it shows, if nothing else, how a small group, if they put their mind to it, can cause major issues.
Yeah.
And who would have thought the Houthis, even though a lot of people, if they're not following the situation in Yemen, look upon them as being backward. They're just guys going around in bare feet. But again, with the limited technology they've got, yes, they have backing from Iran and everybody else, but for a very small country and a small group of people, they've caused chaos.
Yeah, well, up to a few weeks ago, plenty of people didn't even know who the Houthis are or where Yemen is.
Well, that war's been going on a long time. Don't
Yeah.
ask me the dates, but they've been fighting. The Houthis have been fighting for a long time now.
Yeah, but no media coverage. Nobody ever cared
There
about
is,
what's going
but
on.
nobody cares.
Yeah, so
And this is, I think, is an example where their attitude these days is, okay, I think the war's been going on with them for 9 years. Okay, you've bombed us, you've starved us, you've cut off medical support, which they have. So again, we survived that, so what are you going to do now? And I think this is where the UK, US was on about going after them. It's like, okay, what are you going to, how are you going to deal with these people that you already, that's already taken a pounding for how many years, and they're still fighting?
well, it shows that determination, innovation. Yeah, because they take commercially available stuff and they make them into a threat.
As far as the drones are concerned, yeah, but this is where these people have been pounded for how many years, and they're not just still taking the pounding, they're on the offensive.
Yeah. They take advantage of the geography, because if it wasn't for the passing of the vessels, they would have nothing to bargain with, to be a threat with.
They plan this.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's other people behind them, but I think it's it shows how a small determined group can cause major issues these days. And you mentioned technology. Yes, they're using drones, improvised missiles. Well, it's not really improvised, they're using very professional missiles. And there is even there's rumors going around where they're using undersea drones.
Mm-hmm.
I posted something the other day. They have sea mines.
Yeah.
They're improvising the equipment and building the equipment, and again, their improvised equipment, and again, we've seen it in other places, even the drones, the commercial drones, they might cost a couple of thousand commercially.
And they will take out bigger targets that cost, hundreds of thousands, millions.
And also to shoot down one of those drones, the US is having to bust big bucks on
missiles and
missiles.
counter, any counter technology. Well, the thing is, even they are using commercially available drones and they are turning them into a threat. Even if it takes for them to, 100 commercial drones to hit one target, still, economically speaking, from a cost perspective, it's cost effective.
Yeah, it's very cost effective. And again, how do you defend against that type of threat? And I think it's bringing into question now, we've spoken about it before,
Mm-hmm.
it's bringing into question the drone threat especially is major. How can again, drone defense is something which a lot of they weren't talking much about it until, ISIS started using them.
Yeah. And especially after Ukraine.
And after Ukraine, everybody's seen now how drones can be used in warfare. Even though ISIS was using them to a limited extent, Ukraine has just opened that up.
Well, now any context you think of it, whether it is just urban warfare, wherever it is organized crime, drones are a threat to be perceived.
We mentioned this, I speak to too many people, as I say, and one of the big threats, I would say, as far as military is concerned, we'll talk about close protection in another video.
Okay.
But again, just looking at what the Houthis have been doing, and it was the other day the Americans went after them and shot up how many boats? Yeah, the Americans have got plenty of firepower. They
Okay.
have plenty of technology, and for them to take out a Houthi, the Houthi boats is like
Nothing.
nothing. They can do it. They have it. But the issue is, I would say they have to be very careful, because I don't know, and we've mentioned this amongst ourselves, what drone defense those helicopters have.
Well, they must have something. They must have something.
Do they?
Well, you know, it's military helicopters. I bet they have some kind of countermeasures. We should know what this countermeasures is, because
They
this
need
is
to know.
yeah, but because this is classified military equipment.
But this is where I was saying to somebody the other day, you see where the Americans went after those boats. And again, from what I understand, before they'd done anything, they gave a warning to these ships that's attacking the ship they tried to
Yeah.
hijack. They gave a warning. Instead of just going in and shooting them up, they were polite enough to say, excuse me, do you mind, please don't do that.
Yeah.
And the Houthis ended up shooting at the American helicopters. The helicopters lit them up.
Okay.
But again, what if one of those vessels, or again thinking covertly, you had a fishing boat off at a few hundred meters waiting for those helicopters to come in and then hit them with a drone?
Yeah.
There's plenty of footage out there where drones are chasing and taking out vehicles in Ukraine. So I would say the drone threat against helicopters these days would be horrendous. Helicopters, yeah, a lot of people use them. They're okay in Iraq, Afghan, where you're dealing with lightly armed opposition. But these days, it's helicopters have always been a major problem for ground fire, because they're slow moving, especially when they're hovering.
Mhm.
But I think the drone threat against helicopters is something that would be
Substantial.
is big.
Okay.
And especially when you mentioned, okay, there might be one drone coming in. What if there's
Two
half
at
a
the
dozen?
same, yeah, 2, 3, or a swarm, because now there are groups out there experimenting with, you know,
Yeah, I see 'em. There's stuff out about
swarm drones and
about the
stuff
guys
like
that's
that.
not classed as good guys practicing with drones,
Yeah.
swarms and everything else, just to beat the defenses.
yeah. And you know, this is how do you overwhelm a defense? You throw many targets at the same time. Air defenses get overcome.
Overwhelmed, they can't
Yeah,
do it.
overwhelmed, you know, with too many targets. So this is going to be the same. Even if these military helicopters, they do have countermeasures, and even if these countermeasures are becoming more and more sophisticated, if you have a helicopter that costs X with countermeasures that cost X, and you throw too many targets at them that cost a fraction of X, who's winning?
Well, it's not only that. You were talking finances. You got to think about losing face.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, the world expects the US to screw up the Houthis.
because they have the
Because they have the
technological
technology.
advantage.
It's a superpower.
Yeah.
But if the Houthis get one success against the US, or take out a British ship, or take out a whatever, okay, that's a major embarrassment.
And this is a major embarrassment, and this may cause someone hot-headed to overplay their hand, because from, you know, so far we see US.
How are you going to overplay your hand with the Houthis?
Oh, well, how you can overplay your hand? So far the US, they are avoiding to put boot on the ground. But if
That
they
would be a
have,
mess.
exactly, if they have, you know, a major issue where they lose a couple of helicopters and this looks bad on press, somebody
but
will
this
say,
is back down to how are you going to deal with the threat? They've been at war now for 9 years. You put boots on the ground, they'll be okay, come on.
exactly,
And there'll be more.
and that's how.
Yes, the US has the firepower. But again, you see, you can go in, same as Gaza, you can go in and level the whole place. But you still have Hamas fighting.
Yeah.
And they will continue to fight until they're dead. So it's the same with the Houthis. How are you going to control it? Yemen, the Brits had it in Aden.
Mm-hmm.
When they pulled out, it used to be a British colony. Again, these people are used to fighting.
Yeah.
And I think this is where I've said to how many people, the West has gone soft. They don't understand the mentality to start with.
Yeah.
If you don't understand the mentality of the people you're dealing with, you cannot deal with them.
And they do not understand meat grinders, and they do not understand.
They don't understand it because
Yeah.
they're used to winning all the time.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, and again, this stuff has been building up, and people have been ignoring it. Now things have turned around, and it's slapping people in the face, and the West is not prepared to deal with it, and it's going to lead to major issues. It already is. It's embarrassing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all for now. So next time you are boarding a helicopter, pay
out
attention
with
for
drones.
drones. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Follow us on social media, and you know, if you have any meaningful questions, use the comment section below, and we will be glad to answer in our own unique way and perspective.
Yes, no sarcasm. I'm not sarcastic in any way.